Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News, an Indian perspective on All India Radio. This is Navneet Singh, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. The headlines. India condemns violence by Khalistani extremists in Australia targeting Indian community. Requests Australia to ensure their safety and security. First Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting of G20 under India's presidency begins at Guwahati in Assam. US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says America is expanding cooperation with India to address global challenges. Philippines to provide United States with expanded access to its military bases to counter China's aggressive posturing in South China Sea. And in women's cricket, South Africa clinched T20 Tri-Nation Series, beating India in the final by 5 wickets in East London. India has condemned the instances of violence by Khalistani extremists in Australia. Replying to media queries in New Delhi, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said the matter has been raised with the Australian authorities. He urged the local authorities to investigate and punish the perpetrators.
We have been repeatedly taking up with the Australian authorities our concerns about actions by such elements, including those that are proscribed terrorist organizations, in fact. We have also conveyed our firm rejection of the so-called Khalistan referendum and the politically motivated exercises by extremist elements.
The spokesperson further stated that India has requested Australia to ensure the safety and security of members of the Indian community and their properties. India's Minister of Ayush and Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sarbananda Sonowal, urged the representatives of the G20 member countries to act collectively to make sustainable lifestyle a mass movement. Addressing the inaugural session of the G20 First Sustainable Financial Working Group SFWG meeting in Guwahati on Thursday, Mr. Sonowal said the world must work for a cleaner and greener society and urged all to cut down on their carbon footprints.
This First Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting is very, very important for the people of the globe. And with the coordinated effort, with the public-private participation, with the proper policy, with proper roadmap, definitely out of this today's event, we are going to get a very, very important way out to meet the Sustainable Development Goal agenda and also the objective of the Paris Agreement.
The G20 Education Working Group meeting was held in Chennai on the second and final day. During the meeting, deliberations were held on building capacities, promoting lifelong learning in the context of the future of work, strengthening research and promoting innovation through richer collaboration. The delegates engaged in discussions on bilaterals on education. The guest countries Bangladesh, Egypt, Mauritius, Netherlands, Nigeria, Oman, Singapore, Spain and United Arab Emirates also attended the Education Working Group. The delegates attending the G20 Education Working Group had the opportunity to understand the richness of Indian culture through a dance drama on Vellu Nachiyar, the Queen of Sivaganga. The 40-minute presentation was co-organized by the Indian Council for Cultural Relations and the Tamil Nadu Tourism Department, enthralled the audience spellbound.
My name is Ender Eskici. I am from Turkey, from Ministry of National Education. First of all, I'd like to thank G20 Indian Presidency for organizing this very beautiful seminar, and thank you for your hospitality.
Well, I'd like to thank India for the hospitality and the warm welcome since the first moment we landed in Chennai. Then I would like also to thank India for hosting the G20 meetings. Education is one of the most important topics that are being discussed in the G20 presidencies.
It's Aretha, and I am from Singapore. So it has been a very interesting experience for us. I think the hospitality has been amazing. People have been so warm. We have seen so many performances in India, and it is so impressive. And at the same time, India has such rich culture and history. So it's like on one hand, India is so advanced. You also have architecture that dates all the way back to ancient civilizations. So it has just been such a treat for us, and we are looking forward.
My name is Adolfo Garcia. I'm the delegate from Mexico. We share many things in common, India and Mexico. Not only the spicy food, but also our goals in education policy. So thank you, India.
My name is Mauricio. I'm from Brazil. G20 is an important. So it's a rich place that we can talk about many things from childhood, from adult life in education.
My name is Alfonso Tagliaferri. The welcome has been fantastic. The Indian host has been spectacular in welcoming us.
Meanwhile, the three-day meeting of the G20 Employment Working Group started in Jodhpur of Rajasthan with a panel discussion on exploring strategies for global skills and qualifications harmonization and developing a framework for common skill taxonomies. This is the first meeting of the Employment Working Group, which has the mandate to address priority, labor, employment, and social issues to further develop strongly sustainable, balanced, inclusive, and job-rich growth. India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval met the U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken in Washington on Wednesday. Both sides exchanged views on a wide range of global and regional issues of mutual interest and discussed the strengthening of the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. In a tweet after the meeting, Mr. Blinken said, "The United States is expanding cooperation with India to address global challenges." U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense Dr. Kathleen Hicks also called on Mr. Doval. They discussed a range of topics including India-US defense cooperation and regional security issues. Mr. Doval is leading a high-power delegation to the United States. The United States has supported the development of a fabrication ecosystem in India in the field of semiconductors. It also encouraged joint ventures and partnerships for mature technology nodes and advanced packaging. Both nations have agreed to constitute a task force involving India's semiconductor mission, India Electronic Semiconductor Association, and the U.S. Semiconductor Industry Association. The aim is to develop a readiness assessment to identify near-term opportunities and facilitate long-term development of semiconductor ecosystems. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval co-chaired the inaugural meeting of the Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies, ICET, with his U.S. counterpart Jake Sullivan at the White House in Washington on Tuesday. Industry bodies, investors, and common people have hailed the Union Budget 2023-24, calling it progressive, prudent, and growth-oriented. The Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI President Subrakant Panda said, "This year's budget is not only significant to the domestic audience, but also a move towards placing India as the world's engine of growth." Talking to AIR News, Confederation of Indian Industry, CII President Sanjeev Bajaj said, "In the Union Budget, strong focus was on agriculture sector, clean energy, and rationalization of income tax slab." ASSOCHAM President Suman Sinha said, "The announcement made in the budget will improve ease of doing business and help MSME sector." Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the Union Budget for 2023-24 in Parliament on Wednesday. Attractive incentives and rebates in the new income tax regime, a steep hike in capital investments, and the biggest ever outlay in railways were the three big takeaways of budget. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on growth-centric budget to boost morale and momentum.
India's budget for the next fiscal beginning the 1st of April 2023 has its core focus on reviving demand, pushing capital expenditure to encourage private investments, while offering tax concessions to hard-working middle class, with a thrust on building up of social and physical infrastructure to meet the aspirations of millions of Indians. Presenting her fifth full budget in the Lok Sabha, House of People of the Indian Parliament, the Union Finance Minister Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman laid out 7 priorities as complementing each other, which range from inclusive development, reaching the last mile, infrastructure and investment, unleashing the potential to green growth, youth power and financial sector. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the budget as its thrust covers green growth, green economy, green infra, green jobs for sustainability, adding that the budget 2023-24 focused on technology and new economy. In comparison with 2014, this year's budget has a 400% spurt in infra investment. Recalling the trajectory of the economy during the last 9 years, the Finance Minister said it has increased in size from being the 10th largest to the 5th largest in the world, and significantly has improved its position as a well-governed and innovative country with a conducive environment for business. Specifically drawing attention to the astronomical capital investment, Ms. Sitharaman said this is being increased steeply for the 3rd year in a row by 33% to 10 lakh crore rupees, which would be 3.3% of the GDP. This substantial spurt in recent years is in line with the government's efforts to enhance growth potential and job creation, crowd in private investment and provide a cushion against global headwinds. The direct capital investment by the central government is complemented by the provision made for creation of capital assets through grants in aid to states at sub-national level, and the effective capital expenditure of the centre is budgeted at 13.7 crore rupees, which would be 4.5% of GDP. What is noteworthy in the budget announcement is the creation of Infrastructure Finance Secretariat for more private investment in railways, roads, urban infrastructure and power, which are now predominantly reliant on public resources hitherto. Indian Railways would receive a capital outlay of 2.4 lakh crore rupees, the highest ever, that is about 9 times the outlay of 2013-14. In an allied move, 100 critical transport infrastructure projects for last and first mile connectivity for ports, coal, steel, fertilizer and food grain sectors have been identified. They would be taken on priority with investment of 75,000 crore rupees, including 15,000 crore rupees from private sources. Similarly, in a unique initiative, an urban infrastructure development fund akin to the extant rural infrastructure development fund would be set up through use of priority sector lending shortfall to be managed by the National Housing Bank. This would be helpful to public agencies to create urban infrastructure in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. The centre is to make available 10,000 crore rupees per annum for this purpose, with states being goaded to leverage resources from the grants of the 15th Finance Commission as well as existing schemes to adopt appropriate user charges. In order to enhance ease of doing business in India, more than 39,000 compliances have been pruned and more than 3,400 legal provisions have been decriminalized, with the Jan Vishwas Bill to amend 42 central acts being on the anvil for furthering trust-based governance. The budget has raised agricultural credit target to 20 trillion rupees for the next fiscal and for affordable housing allocations to 790 billion rupees. The provision for clean energy transition in the budget is 350 billion rupees. A key focus was on tourism, youth skilling, digital thrust, simplifying regulations and compliance, and withal a doable glide path to fiscal consolidation. The target of this investment for the next fiscal is pegged at a realistic 510 billion rupees, which is at par with the estimate of 500 billion this fiscal 2022-23. In fine, the budget is growth-centric with twin ballasts of higher capex, capital expenditure outlay, and moderation in personal income tax at the lowest and highest levels in order to boost growth and consumption and to maintain both fiscal deficit at 5.9% of the GDP in the next fiscal and market borrowings at manageable levels.
This is All India Radio, giving you the world news. To counter China's aggressive territorial posturing in the South China Sea, the Philippines has agreed to provide the United States with expanded access to its military bases. With this step, U.S. forces will have a greater strategic footing on the southeastern edge of the South China Sea, close to self-ruled Taiwan. The newly announced deal will give the U.S. access to 4 more locations under an enhanced defense cooperation agreement dating 2014. It will allow the U.S. to rotate troops to a total of 9 bases throughout the Philippines. The U.S. has in recent months stepped up efforts to expand its Indo-Pacific security options amid rising concerns over China's growing activities in the region. A total of 10 flights of Air India between India and the United States of America were cancelled last month due to the deployment of 5G mobile services in the USA. This was stated by Minister of State for Civil Aviation, General V.K. Singh, in a written reply in the Lok Sabha on Thursday. He said the government is aware of the concerns expressed by airlines and manufacturers of aircraft upon the rollout of 5G mobile services in the USA and its potential interference with the aircraft radio altimeters. In another written reply in the Lok Sabha, the minister said after 4 rounds of bidding under UDAN, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik scheme, 459 routes have commenced operationalizing 72 airports, including 2 water aerodromes and 9 heliports till the 20th of last month. He said more than 2.16 lakh UDAN flights have been operated and over 1.13 crore passengers have so far availed the benefits of the scheme. Jammu and Kashmir police achieved a major breakthrough in the Narwal Jammu blast by arresting a Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist who is also a government employee. A perfume IED, the first of its kind, was recovered from his possession. DG Police Dilbag Singh said in a press conference that after 11 days of hard work, a major success was achieved with the arrest of Arif Ahmed. The DGP said Arif is an active terrorist of the Lashkar-e-Taiba outfit. He was working at the behest of Qasim and his uncle Kamaruddin, both of them Riyasi residents and are presently in Pakistan. In Myanmar, National Defense and Security Council NDSC has decided to extend the country's state of emergency to delay the election. According to reports, military junta chief Min Aung Hlaing submitted a report to council members reflecting on 2 years of military rule. Hlaing repeated his justification for the coup, citing unfounded allegations of voter fraud in the 2020 general elections, in which the National League for Democracy (NLD) has secured a landslide victory. Military-governed Myanmar declared a state of emergency for a year when it took power in 2021 and has since extended it twice for 6 months each time. Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan will be on a 2-day visit to Sri Lanka from Friday to participate in the Independence Day celebrations of the island nation. During the visit, the Minister of State will also have separate bilateral interactions with the President and Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka. He will also have an interactive session with prominent members of the Indian diaspora. Atomic Energy and Space Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh has said that the government is taking measures to augment domestic capacity for the future realization of space tourism. In a written reply to a question in Rajya Sabha, Dr. Jitendra Singh said, ISRO has also carried out a few feasibility studies for a suborbital space tourism mission on board a liquid propellant stage booster. Dr. Singh said, through Gaganyaan, India's maiden human space flight program, ISRO is engaged in the development of various technologies which are essential building blocks for human space missions. The minister informed that the objectives of the Gaganyaan program is the demonstration of human spaceflight capability to low Earth orbit. He added future missions will be taken up after the accomplishment of the Gaganyaan mission. Minority Affairs Minister Smriti Irani has informed that the government, under the annual bilateral agreement with Saudi Arabia for Hajj pilgrim this year, has restored the original Hajj quota which stands at 1,75,025. In a written reply to Lok Sabha on Thursday, Ms. Irani added that in this direction, the ministry held a number of interactive sessions on Hajj management with the stakeholders, including Hajj committees of the states and union territories, wherein requests for restoration of Hajj quota were received. She said the quota earmarked for Hajj Committee of India under the annual bilateral agreement is meant for pilgrims from various states and union territories for Hajj this year. The minister said the increase in Hajj quota has now enabled the government to send more pilgrims from states and UTs for Hajj. The parliamentary delegation from Zambia called on India's President Draupadi Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan on Thursday. Welcoming the delegation to Rashtrapati Bhavan, the President said India and Zambia enjoy strong and cordial relations. She said the leaders of the Zambian freedom struggle, like the founding father and first President of Zambia, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, drew inspiration from the Indian freedom struggle, particularly Mahatma Gandhi. The President said that in the area of economic cooperation, bilateral trade has been growing steadily. She added it is a matter of satisfaction that India and Zambia share a strong development partnership, including India's 4 lines of credit, which are being utilized in important fields such as transport, hydropower, and health. India is one of the leading investors in Zambia. Both houses of Indian Parliament were adjourned for the day following the opposition party's protest over Hindenburg Research's report on Adani Group and other issues on Thursday. Amid noisy scenes, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi urged protesting members to allow the House to take up discussion on President Draupadi Murmu's address to the joint sitting of both houses of Parliament. He said the House is for discussion and appealed to members to take part in it. As pandemonium continued, the House was adjourned for the day. In Rajya Sabha, a similar scene was witnessed when the House reassembled after the first adjournment at 2 p.m. Congress, TMC, DMK, AAP, Samajwadi Party, Left and other opposition members started raising slogans over the issue. As the ruckus continued, Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar adjourned the House for the day. The Sensex witnessed modest gains while the Nifty observed modest losses amid mixed global cues. The index of the top 30 companies on the Bombay Stock Exchange Sensex ended above 59,900 points. The index of the top 50 companies at the National Stock Exchange closed near the 17,600 level, a report from the business desk.
Sensex climbed by 224 points to finish at 59,932. Nifty 50, however, fell by 6 points to settle at 17,610. Among global stock markets, Asian shares ended mixed. South Korea's Kospi rose by 0.8% and Japan's Nikkei 225 added marginally by 0.2%. On the other hand, Hong Kong's Hang Seng fell 0.5% and Singapore's Straits Times Index declined by 0.4%. China's Shanghai Composite Index ended almost flat. Oil prices were steady after tumbling in the previous session as a weaker dollar boosted sentiment, though looming sanctions on Russian oil products added uncertainty over supply. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $82.55 per barrel. Back home at the multi-commodity exchange, gold futures for February was trading at 58,700 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for March was trading at 72,053 rupees per kilogram. Arjun Chowdhury for World News, All India Radio.
In women's cricket, South Africa have won the T20 Tri-Nation Series, beating India in the final by 5 wickets at Buffalo Park in East London on Thursday. Riding on Chloe Tryson's unbeaten 57 runs knock, the hosts overall the target of 110 runs in just 18 overs. South Africa scored 113 runs for 5 wickets in 18 overs. Earlier electing to bat first, India had scored 109 for the loss of 4 wickets in stipulated 20 overs. For the visitors, Harleen Deol was the highest scorer who contributed 46 runs off 56 balls. In men's cricket, India demolished New Zealand by 168 runs in the deciding third and final T20 International at Ahmedabad on Wednesday. Chasing the target of 235 runs, the visitors were bundled out for a paltry score of 66 runs in 12.1 overs. Earlier, opting to bat, India posted 234 runs for 4 in stipulated 20 overs. Shubman Gill hit a ton, scoring unbeaten 126 runs on 63 balls, recording his maiden T20 century for India. Rahul Tripathi posted 44 off 22 balls. With the win, India have won the 3-match series 2-1. 2nd of February is the World Wetlands Day. The day is celebrated every year on this day to create awareness about conservation, significance, and the role of wetlands in the protection of biodiversity. The theme of the World Wetlands Day 2023 is It's Time for Wetlands Restoration. With 75 Ramsar sites covering over 13 lakh hectares, India has the largest number of wetlands in South Asia. In his Mann Ki Baat last month, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that now the total number of Ramsar sites in the country has increased to 75, whereas before 2014 there were only 26. In her Union Budget presentation in the Parliament, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman proposed 2 schemes to protect wetlands and mangroves, namely Amrit Dharohar and Mangrove Initiative for Shoreline Habitats and Tangible Incomes, MISHTI. India has welcomed Congo to International Solar Alliance. The External Affairs Ministry said Ambassador of Republic of Congo, Raymond Serge Bale, signed the International Solar Alliance Framework Agreement in the presence of Joint Secretary Economic Diplomacy. Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Globe and Mail reports Philippines grants US greater access to bases amid China concerns. The New York Times writes US to boost military role in the Philippines in push to counter China. CNN Business Report says China is set to make market-oriented changes to the way initial public offerings are approved. Washington Post writes, Canadian Parliament votes unanimously to accept 10,000 Uyghur refugees. Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina inaugurated the construction of Mass Rapid Transit Line 1 on Thursday, reports Daily Star. 6th edition of Dhaka Art Summit will begin on Friday at National Art Gallery of Bangladesh, Shilpakala Academy, reports New Age. Domestic air traffic in India has again picked up pace during the current financial year and is expected to touch around 97% of the pre-COVID level. This information was given by the Minister of State for Civil Aviation, General Dr. V.K. Singh, in a written reply to a question in Lok Sabha. He said India witnessed a double-digit compounded annual growth rate of 14.5% in terms of domestic passenger traffic during the period 2014-15 to 2019-20. A quick look at the headlines once again. India condemns violence by Khalistani extremists in Australia targeting Indian community. Requests Australia to ensure their safety and security. First Sustainable Finance Working Group meeting of G20 under India's presidency begins at Guwahati in Assam. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says America is expanding cooperation with India to address global challenges. Philippines to provide United States with expanded access to its military bases to counter China's aggressive posturing in South China Sea. And in women's cricket, South Africa clinched T20 Tri-Nation Series, beating India in the final by 5 wickets in East London. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Norway. And with that, we end this bulletin. We will be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.